Greetings, fellow members of the Esoteric Order of Gamers. What's this mysterious parcel that I have before me here? Let's have a look, shall we? Well, the first thing that hits you is the waft of laser cut MDF, and this is a terrain system. Now, this was sent to me by a company called Laser Terrain Company. They're in Bristol in the United Kingdom, and next month they're running a Kickstarter to produce this science fiction terrain. They're starting off with science fiction, but later down the track they may be going into other fields as well. And they very kindly sent me this sample so I could put it together and show you. I've seen some examples of this put together and it looks pretty interesting, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. The main thing you might notice is that it's actually spray painted. Yes, it's pre-painted terrain. As you can see, it looks very interesting. Look at all these intricately detailed pieces. So I thought, well, we could build this together and check it out and see what you think. And if you like it, you can back Laser Terrain Company's Kickstarter next month. Let's have a look. So out of the box, I've got 16 sheets of thin MDF board, and they come in 5 different designs. I'm not even exactly sure what these build. It's going to be interesting to put them together. But the creator has sent me some PDF documents, which are sort of the beta instructions for putting these together. So let's puzzle it out together. So the first thing for me to do is to start cutting out all these pieces and getting them organised in piles so I know what I've got to work with. And like any MDF terrain, it's very easy. You just basically get a knife and cut through the little notches that are holding it in place, like you would counter sheets on a die-cut cardboard sheet. There you go, it pops out very easily. I love this pre-painted stuff, it's really nice. Now, it's very important for me to point out that this isn't the finished product that will go to Kickstarter. This is an early release set, so there may be some issues in the building of these pieces that are still being ironed out, and those will be fixed before it goes to Kickstarter. Now, another thing we've got on this sheet are these round pieces which have a sort of etched sci-fi pattern in them, and you'll notice they're the same size as miniature bases. So you can actually use these pieces as bases for your miniatures, which is a nice extra touch, and they've used up the extra space on the board to give you those miniature bases. Really nice. Well, sit down, relax, put some music on, get yourself a drink, because this is going to take quite a while. Cutting out all these little pieces is pretty time consuming, but you can see there's a lot of detail and some tiny little pieces, so take your time and I'll get back to you when I've got all these bits out. Aha! I just worked out what these tiny little pieces I've been chopping out were. They're the rungs of a ladder. So if you have 2 of these pieces, you can make a ladder by inserting these rungs in the notches, like so, blah blah blah, and we have all the rungs going down, and it'll make up some nice ladders. So I might come back to those, because they take a little while to cut out of the sprue. And after quite a bit of effort, here are all the pieces that I've cut out. This took me quite a while, over a few days. It's pretty fiddly work, so you really want to stretch it out over a period of time. You can see I've also saved a lot of the little pieces, the counters that come out of things like these girders and the holes in these. I kept these just because you could use them for rubble. If you're doing any model making or terrain making, little bits like this are good for using for just general rubble. So now that I've got all these bits, I'm going to work out how they go together. What Laser Terrain Company sent me to show you is their forward base set. They also have some corridor sets and some buildings as well, but the corridors and the forward base use this system, and it's a kind of modular system that works throughout those particular builds. So let me show you how it works. You've got these little girder pieces, you've got a floor piece, and you've got some wall pieces and some sort of battlement and walkway pieces. So what I do is get this bottom piece here, making sure the graphics are on the outside, and then pop these girders in. Now you can of course glue these in, and you probably would if you were building the whole thing. Just pop these in, but they fit in quite snugly. Of course, taking them out and putting them in continually would be a complete pain in the neck, but you can see it builds pretty easily. They slot in like so. There's your bottom wall piece, and then you've got your top piece like so, and you put those into the other parts of the girders. Now the table I'm using here has got a bit of give to it. It's actually easier if you do this on the floor on a more solid surface. Okay, there we go. There's that section built. Then we take this wall section and we fit it into our floor piece. Now of course if I was gluing this as I went and letting bits dry and everything, it would all stay together pretty solidly. There we go. Now we've got a walkway that goes at the top. Fits on like that, and then a battlement that fits into the top. And there we go, pretty quick and easy, and you've got a very impressive looking wall battlement arrangement. Right, I've done a few now and I'm on a more sturdy table, so let me show you that it's relatively easy to put one of these together. Here we go, put these pieces in like so. There's our bottom wall, and we get our top wall. Line up the holes and in they go. Bam! There we go. Much faster, just churn these out and you're off. So that's basically how you put these pieces together, and this modular arrangement carries on throughout. It also carries through corner pieces as well. So if you take a floor piece like this, you can see how the corner pieces work like so. And then the final part is to fit all these together like a jigsaw puzzle. Like that. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Another piece needs to go in there, of course, in that hole. So I'm going to put a whole lot of these together and set them up on a tabletop and show you what it looks like. One thing I was worried about when I started building this was how much room it would take up. Here's the old storage conundrum. But as you can see, the pieces stack together quite nicely and don't take up too much space. There's quite a few floor sections here and walls, and you can see they just sort of slot together, and this would only, you know, take up a couple of boxes worth of space. I was showing you the pieces that made up the ladders before. Here's one that's been glued together, and they just slot nicely into the walkway, nice and firmly. These handrails get in the way of slotting your bases in between the rungs, so you can have a figure halfway up a ladder, but most rules don't allow you to do that anyway. Right, here's most of the pieces made up, and you can see it doesn't take up too much space, but I should be able to get a pretty impressive tabletop from these. So let's put it together and see what it looks like. Ta-da! Check that out. Well, that's on a 6 by 4 foot table, so you can see it's pretty impressive. Now I think this is 2 forward base sets, so you can see it takes up a lot of space, and it's a really impressive compound or arena. And I just had to get up on a chair to show you that, but let's have a little closer look. There's some ramps that you can place on there. We've got the stairs, the ladders I should say, and I've got another one over there, but there are quite a few in the set. I can build some more of those. I've got this very nice main surface, a couple of gates. Now there are actually walkways that go along here as well, but I seem to be missing those pieces. They of course would come in the final set. I could have a couple more entrances with this arrangement. And you might think, well, this is unusual. I mean, it looks fantastic, but how does it work as a game surface? Well, during the Kickstarter, there will be lots of add-on pieces. There are interior buildings, and also this system works as a whole corridor system as well. This is one of the sets that they'll be selling on the Kickstarter campaign. So you could set this up, you could have half of these and set it up as a kind of defensive arrangement, or you can just have what is a really impressive surface to game on like this. Now, what kind of games would you use for this, I hear you ask? Well, it's a sort of generic sci-fi look, so you could use it for any kind of games. I don't know if it does fit some of Warhammer 40,000's aesthetic, particularly the Tau, I think. Possibly bits of Imperial Guard, not so much the really gothic stuff. But for other games, Infinity, I think it works really well for Infinity. I'll be using it for AT43, not that many people play that anymore. Another one that I think it'd be really good for is the new Fantasy Flight Games miniature game, Star Wars Legion. It's got a sort of Star Warsy feel as well. Now this system they have of these girders holding up the walls is, as I said, used for a corridor system as well. And then you can start playing corridor miniatures games. Oh, thank you, Drew. That's my cat there approving of the whole set. What do you reckon, Drew?
Hey, what do you reckon? Pretty good.
Here's a smaller setup, and you can see I've used some of the exterior walls as interior dividers, and it starts to make things a little bit more interesting inside the arena. Works really well. Got some little ramps here. I must say the whole system brings a sense of scale to games, so what I should do to show that scale is get some miniatures out, see what they look like. And now we're cooking with gas, as they say. Look at this! It looks spectacular! I've thrown in some AT43 figures, some shipping containers, some barricades, stuff like that, and it's looking amazing. It really looks like a frontier outpost, some kind of strategic point that has to be captured and overrun. Really quite impressive. Now keep in mind again that there'll be lots of add-ons and extra bits and things you can buy to make the interior of these areas more impressive and in keeping with the style of this architecture. And also there'll be corridor sets, so you could set up all kinds of corridors and fields of fire and stuff going on in the middle of a compound like this. Or in fact you could just use half a compound and use it as a wall and build some kind of siege game or attack on the outpost game. The possibilities are endless. But as you can see, it goes really well with this style of generic sci-fi, and as I said, I think it'd go well with Star Wars as well. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Laser Terrain Company product, this terrain system. And keep in mind, I haven't actually glued all these pieces together. I could dismantle the whole thing if I wanted to, which would be crazy, but certainly, as you can see, if you stick them together, they stack and store pretty well. The Kickstarter will be running in mid-April. Keep an eye out for it, and back this creator if you like their work. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to visit orderofgamers.com for more esoteric Order of Gamers good stuff. Finally, I'll go out on a look at some of the terrain set up using all the other extra bits and bobs that I didn't get a sample of, and you'll also see the light up floor setups that you can get. So check it all out, and thanks for watching.